Hi everyone. Today is the first week of Saskari School's policy discussion session, and our topic for today is SDGs and their role and how education can help further the role of them these days. The topic has come up especially because today these preceding weeks from 19 to 23rd we have SDG Week 2022, where every places around the world are coming together to learn more about SDGs, acknowledge why we need SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and also broadcast to the world what everybody can do to project and learn more about SDGs, and then add their own value towards reaching their goals, because the SDGs are 17 large goals that the UN set. I'm sure almost all of us know that. All of these goals are things that will lead to a fairer, brighter world for all of us. So I really hope we can all have a very fruitful discussion about these different goals today. I would give over the floor to Abhiniti so she can call up our first speakers.
Yeah, so this topic is being headed by Project Korea, and at the end of the day, at the end of the discussion, they're required to send in a report, which is to be submitted within 4 days, along with the screenshots of the discussion. So I hand over the floor to Project Korea.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So the topic at hand, just to introduce myself, I'm Abhinav Jha, and I am the research coordinator from Project Korea. Really looking forward to this discussion that we have at hand. So the topic that we have at hand, which is achieving SDGs through school education, right? So there are various SDGs that we have. There are 17, but I would not be talking about all 17 SDGs in this discussion. How school education plays an important role in achieving these, certain SDGs. I'll be talking about that. So the SDG 1, SDG 2, that is, decrease in poverty and hunger. Now, according to research by the World Bank, for every extra year of primary education, a girl's individual wage rate increases an average of 10 to 20% and 25% with an extra year of secondary school. So we can see how school education is playing a direct role, especially of the girl child, when it comes to poverty alleviation and eradicating hunger. Now, coming to the sustainable development goal of improved health and well-being. Now, it is seen that girls who are educated, who basically have let's say they have gone through proper school education, they have more knowledge when it comes to how to keep their nutritional health well. So that results in fewer child deaths. A study was conducted by UNESCO, and it showed that 15% fewer child deaths happened in such a situation. Uh, Coming to the sustainable development goals that are 5, 8, 9, 10, and 11, which are basically focusing on gender equality, work and economic growth, sustainable cities, industry, innovation, and reduced inequality, and how school education is playing a role in it. So looking at Sustainable Development Goal 5 and 10, uh, you know, gender inequality in so many ways is, reflected through income disparity, wage discrimination, and the gender-based violence that unfortunately happens. But if the girl child goes through education, uh, you know, they can make significant advances when it comes to bridging this gender gap, and they can play the role of community leaders in this situation. Now, coming to Sustainable Development Goal 8 and 11, uh, you know, how education of girl child can spur economic growth. Now, every 1% increase in the number of women with a secondary education yields an increase of 0.3 percentage in the country's annual per capita income growth rate. So, these are some of the ways in which, like, how if there is a more emphasized focus on girl education, how certain sustainable development goals can be achieved. Now, yeah, that's it from myself.
Thanks a lot, Avinav. That was very, enlightening. If Could you please call up the rest of the members of your team to come up and speak from Project Guria?
Yeah, absolutely. Ria is here, so I'd urge Ria to go next.
Yeah, hello everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay. Yeah, so this is Ria Sharma and I'm policy research intern with the Project Guria team. So with regards to the discussion topic that we have for today's meeting, I think the topic is in itself is very interesting and it's one of the most significant topics of our time. We have seen how SDGs have been at the top of the agenda, whether it's national issues or be it international. Uh, it covers a plethora of issues with itself, and it is a comprehensive goal that targets towards a number of issues, including health, education, poverty eradication, or hunger eradication, or be it establishing an equitable environment and reducing gender disparities. So yeah, it's one of the most significant issues of our time. And the topic that we have today, which is achieving SDGs through school education, so it becomes even more interesting because if through school education, if the very topic, if the very aim of SDGs can be disseminated further within the students, then I think from a very younger age, as we know that students and young growing minds are very receptive and curious, and in school education or classroom modules, if if the whole cause and the goal of SDGs or the topic that which it aims towards is targeted towards students. So I think they can become they can take upon themselves to further their cause, and this can be done through various methods, I guess. So one of the uh, topics that I found interesting with regards to school education and SDGs is that teachers can definitely play a very significant role when it comes to imparting such information. I think quality pedagogical experiences, even in our cases, they have worked wonders. And if quality education or quality teaching experiences to can reach out to students, so I guess a very interactive and a very enriching experience for students can be installed in the at the very school level itself. So I believe that it can be to first imparting education to teachers so that they know that what SDGs are, and further these teacher groups in various schools can take it forward to students. So like I came upon a research paper where it was recommended that the teachers especially can be first involved within community groups. They can be involved within groups where they work towards achieving some SDGs like 2 to 3 SDGs, and further they can involve students at the school level so that everyone together works towards achieving SDGs. This can be done in very little ways as well. Like, for example, if students are made aware of the climate change or of the environmental catastrophic things that are happening right now in at present time. So I guess this is one area where teachers can particularly work. So the next thing that I would like to focus here is this that we often see that things at school level which are once initiated at times lose consistency or continuity, and they're not followed with as much passion when they are introduced after a few course of time. So I think if somehow the school environment together work towards establishing an interactive continuum, which can be like if which can be like if by the introduction of specific periods or specific classes which will be targeted towards SDGs or such dialogue which takes place between teachers and students. So I think continuum can be established where the larger aim of disseminating the whole cause of SDGs can be reached out to students. So I think that sums it up from my side. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Um, I request each and everybody, whoever is speaking, to please turn on their cameras. This is not a team meeting. So whoever is speaking next, please turn on your camera. And I request and ask Harnoor to please come and express her views about the topic.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible and visible.
Yeah, okay. So, as the people before me have expressed that the achievement of sustainable development goals, especially in developing countries like India, has a uh, direct the school education has a direct influence on achievement of sustainable development goals. So I would like to suggest some provisions that our government or the local government could take in order to ensure that there is a proper understanding in school students of what sustainable development goals actually mean, because the most important thing right now is to introduce what sustainable development would imply for them in the future, for their children and for generations to come. So, first of all, I would like to suggest that there should be an equitable access of education, because in countries like India, if you see, there is an urban-rural divide when it comes to education. So, in urban areas, there are a greater percentage of children who are getting access to primary, secondary, even tertiary level schooling. They are able to easily get an access to universities and colleges and so on. But in rural areas, there are this if you go to the deepest rural areas of the country, you'll see that they are still that the schooling still involves only sitting under a tree while a professor or a pandit teaches you the scriptures. So first of all, I would like for the government to take a step in order to ensure an equitable access to education for all. So learning opportunities, they need to be increased and they need to be diversified, because in order to achieve sustainable development goals, there is a need for children to understand the social sciences and how the system of the environment actually works. So they should use a wide range of education and training modalities, and every adult, youth, or children, or be it a girl or a boy and any other gender, they should be able to get an access to education, and they should be able to acquire the relevant skills and knowledge. And secondly, besides education, I think there is a need to instill an action oriented approach in the children, so that even when they know the principles of how sustainable development can be achieved, they are able to apply it practically. So according to me, skill acquisition is an important part of the education process. So beyond the work specific skills, there should be emphasis on your entire cognitive and transference related skills or non-cognitive skills. It could involve critical thinking, team building, social work, etc. I think this should be inculcated at the school level. And besides this, of course, there is a need for equality in education. As a part of Team Gudia, I would in every conference, I would profess that there is a need for inclusion of girls in educational settings. Even if you see the rates of attendance in schools right now, there are a greater number of boys in every class as related to girls. So that is an important part, because I feel like girls, being a part of the household, are naturally better able to think about how things can be recycled, how resources can be justably used. So if they apply that knowledge to the workplace, they can utilize the resources that are left or left underutilized to expand the profits or the productivity of the organization, and at the same time reach the goal of sustainable development through minimizing resource utilization. So that is it.
Some points very well spoken, Harnoor. Moving on, I call Ananya from Project Korea to speak her opinions on the topic.
Hi, I just talked to Ananya. She's having some network issues. She's saying she's joining in 2 minutes.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next speaker. We'll move on to Avneet from Project Saksham. Is Avneet here? Avneet, you're not audible if you are speaking anything. Chalo, I think Avneet has some issues as well. We'll move on to the next speaker. We'll move on to Astha.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible and visible. The floor is yours.
Okay, so hello, everyone. Myself, Astha Yadav. I am a policy research intern at Project Saksham. And today I am here to talk about the SDGs and importance of school education in SDGs. So on 25th September 2015, the UN General Assembly adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. A new global framework to redirect humanity towards a sustainable path was developed. At the core of the 2030 Agenda was 17 Sustainable Development Goals to secure a sustainable, peaceful, prosperous, and equitable life on Earth for everyone and in the future. For the goals to be reached, everyone needs to do their part: government, the private sector, civil society, educational institutes, and every human being across the world. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development clearly reflects this vision and the importance of an appropriate educational response. Education is explicitly formulated as a standalone goal for attaining all other SDGs and is also a means for attaining the other SDGs. It is not only an integral part of sustainable development, but also a key enabler for it. This is why education represents an essential strategy in the pursuit of SDGs. A fundamental change is needed in the way we think about educational role in global development, because it has a catalytic impact on well-being of individuals and the future of our planet. Now, more than ever, education has a responsibility to be in gear with 21st century challenges and aspirations and foster the right type of values and skills that will lead to sustainable and inclusive growth and peaceful living together. Individuals require knowledge, skills, values, and attributes that empower them to contribute, therefore, is crucial for achievement of sustainable development. The now well-established approach, Education for Sustainable Development, known as ESD, empowers learners to take informed decisions and responsible actions for environmental integrity, economic viability, as a just society for present and future generation. ESD is not only about teaching sustainable development and adding new content to courses and trainings. Schools and universities should see themselves as a place of learning and experience for sustainable development and should therefore orient all their processes towards principle of sustainability. For ESD to be more effective, the educational institutions as whole has to be transformed, such as whole institutes approach aims at mainstream sustainability into all aspects of educational institutes. It involves rethinking the curriculum, campus operations, organization culture, student participation, leadership and management, community relations, and research. In this way, the institute itself functions as a role model for the learners. Sustainable learning environments such as eco schools or green campuses, allow educators and learners to integrate sustainability principles into their daily practice and facilitate capacity building, competency development, and value education in a comprehensive manner. Thank you so much.
Very well said, Astha. Now, I would like to call upon Alice to take over from project section.
Hello, I'm Alice from Project Arogya. The point I am here to speak has been already spoken by all the speakers on the inequality. One of the thing about SDG, good thing about SDG is that we are trying to draw attention to a very bigger problem like climate change, eradicating poverty, and we are trying to break down each goal that we have into achievable targets so that each one of us can contribute to it, small, big, anyone. And so it, due to this achievable targets point, it becomes very feasible for even schools to take a point and work on it, because they have made it smaller and broken down into points. So here one of the speakers has already spoken about gender equality and how education to girls is important to take forward and set an example for others and how they can carry on the goal of gender equality. But here I would like to draw attention to our National Education Policy 2020, because it is very handful. If you see the policy points, it has been very informative, and their goals are aligned to the goals of SDG, one of which is the Gender Inclusion Fund that they are proposing, which is saying that we are going to give infrastructure facilities for girls and boys and also transgender, which is a very which already fits today, where in the society we are discussing daily about gender inclusion and gender sensitization. So apart from that, we see that so we're talking about infrastructure here, building toilets and providing space so that every gender finds a place in the school. So here, apart from that, we also need that one of the speakers already talked about how the school curriculum needs to be changed, and SDG goals need to be added in the school curriculum. So here, apart from talking about the how every gender is different, we need also, like for girls, we need to talk about instruction on menstrual cycle, how menstrual cycle happens. So this type of things need to be added according to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice. I would like to call upon Ananya once again. Is she here in the meeting? Okay, and Abneet. Okay, so we'll move on to Dia. Dia, are you here?
Good evening, everyone. I am Dia Madhari, a volunteer under Project Suction. As we all know, sustainable development means a development which caters to the present needs of the society and also preserves the same quality and quantity of resources for the future generations. To meet these objectives, the United Nations adopted 17 goals in 2015, which were to be achieved by all the member nations by 2030. There are many steps taken by India in the same direction, but still there is a long way to go. And I think that educating children, giving them the right information and education can help us in achieving these goals. If children are educated from the very beginning about the importance of resources and its value, they will be better able to change their behavior from indiscriminate use of resources and encourage them to adopt a more sustainable lifestyle, which will help not only them but also the generations to come. There are many different ways by which school education can help the children in becoming informed about such a sensitive topic as during the early years of life, a child spends most of his or her time in school, which can be a great influence in a child's life, as most of their learning in the early years is by observing the people around them. According to me, schools should regularly campaign for achieving these sustainable development goals and encourage not only the students but also their parents to contribute to the issue. There could be posters around the school and in the classrooms mentioning the 17 sustainable development goals. There could be a good and a hygienic school canteen, a water dispenser, and a medical room to ensure that the students learn from their surroundings. I think incorporating such knowledge in the students from the very beginning will help them to do their bit in achieving sustainable development. And as we know that little drops make the mighty ocean, similarly, these little efforts on individual level will help us meet a larger goal of sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tia. Really insightful and informative. Anybody else who wants to speak, who hasn't listed down their names, can just open the camera and let us know. Abhinav will Ananya be joining us? Okay, so she's still, I think, having some network issues. So with this, I'll conclude with the weekly discussion. And from what I have said, what I have heard, I've learned that we need a lot of more policies that needs to be implemented by the government. Not only that, we need to have we need to have gender equality in terms of education. Along with that, we also need to ensure that skills are being imparted along with the education, and we need vocational courses for students. Not only that, we need training for teachers, with teachers, and we need to give training to teachers so that they are able to provide adequate and the right type of education to all. So that is how we'll be able to instill the SDG goals through and in our education system. So thank you so much, guys, for joining this weekly discussion and patiently listening to the speakers. Thank you so much.